Hi, everybody. My name is Randii MacNear, and I am the Executive Director of the Davis Farmers Market Alliance and also the Farmers Market Manager of the 5 markets that we run sometimes in 1 week during the year. I've been doing this job for 38 years, and the Davis Farmers Market is 43 years old and one of the first original farmers markets in the state of California. So Davis was one of the first 4 farmers markets established in 1976 in the state of California, and now there are probably about 800 farmers markets in the state of California and thousands across the United States and in Canada. So we played a big role in helping to grow the farmers market industry, not only in California but nationwide. California is the only state that actually has legislation that authorizes and governs how farmers markets operate. And what that certified means is that the only people that are here selling actually grow what they bring. And they have certificates and they're inspected. We're real farmers markets. We have real farmers coming and selling direct to the public. The reason that certified farmers markets were created was to be able to allow farmers to come and sell exempt from standard pack and grade. So they can bring all sizes of fruit. They can bring all varieties of fruit. They can have them be field run. They can bring them in boxes piled high instead of what you see if you were on the receiving end at a supermarket. The quality controls are also regulated. I mean, this is not a free-for-all by any means. Everything has its rules and regulations, but I think that's one of the biggest advantages for farmers at farmers markets anywhere. Farmers markets are really important for small farmers in California. They have told us at many of the conferences that if there weren't farmers markets for them to sell at in California, they would not exist. They would not be viable. So there are some farms that only go to one farmers market a week. Sometimes they only go to their county markets. And then there are farms that have really diversified, and some of them go to 20-something markets in a week during their season. So the interesting thing about farmers markets, and I think the reason that they're so viable, is that they can accommodate all different kinds of farmers, all different size farmers, all farmers that want to maybe just concentrate their marketing and their sales in one farmer's market, or also they can diversify into other marketing channels. Some of them sell to restaurants, school districts, produce companies. So there's CSAs. I mean, they really have an interesting variety of different options for how much they want to participate. But clearly, they are a big answer for keeping small farmers sustainable. It's tough to get into good markets at this point in time in California farmers markets. The worst thing I have to do is tell farmers that I don't have room for them, and that's why we started a lot of really small satellite markets where I can put entry-level farmers into them. We also have a policy that if you are a farmer in Yolo County, which is the county that we're in, that we are really going to try and find you a spot, if you're a real farmer and you're trying to make it, which I think has been a huge benefit to our local farmers to know that we can find some spaces for them, whereas before we didn't used to be able to do that. The requirements, they're not arduous, but they take time. I mean, you can't just call up a market if you haven't been in a farmer's market and say, hey, can I come tomorrow? You have to get a certified producer certificate applied with your county agricultural commission of where you produce your crops. You have to fill out applications with different farmers markets and visit them. Also, if you are doing value-added products like making olive oil or jams, then a lot of the markets require that you have liability insurance, and you can prove that what is in those jams is actually of your own production. So a farmer's market also has a plethora of permits and certificates and things that they have to get to comply with. So, we have this. We have the same type of thing, requirements with our county ag commissioners and with health departments and business licenses and, on and on and on. Farmers markets offer a lot of different options for farmers. What makes a good farmer is somebody who is a team player and understands that how they operate in a farmer's market represents how the market operates overall. There are a number of things that I consider when I'm considering vendor applications. I actually have a really hard job because I can take very few farmers in. So, sometimes we ask them what other markets they sell at, and so if we don't know them at all, we will call another market manager and ask them, what do you think about this farmer? Do they arrive on time? We actually have a 30-day probation period because you can tell when a farmer is going to join the team and, play by the rules or is not. It's very evident right from the beginning. The organic certification is a completely additional process and certification to the certified producer certificate. So if a farmer wants to come into a certified farmers market in California, then they are organic, they have to get certified by the state and by a third-party certifying organization. Some of those organizations are things like CCOF. Yolo County actually is one of the few counties, including Marin, that has its own organic certification program that they started. So if a farmer is farming in Yolo County, they can go to their ag commissioner, they can do all that procedural work and the inspections. They are very serious about organic certification. It's part of our requirement to be a certified farmers market is that if we're going to have organic growers in there, we have to have the board has to formulate their own rules about the labeling requirements for being able to use the word organic, and then the ag commissioner comes in here and inspects. They take samples out of the market and they take them back to labs and they test the validity of whether somebody is actually farming organically. There's a huge long list of the inputs that you're allowed to and not allowed to use when you're an organic farmer, and you would be surprised. I mean, there are a lot of inputs that they are allowed to use, but there's a lot of inputs they're not allowed to use. Farmers who are able to pull off adding value added into their product line really, really make a lot of money. If you're a farmers market fan and you're a farmers market customer, you're really excited when your farmer brings strawberry jam made from their strawberries or pomegranate syrup or something like that. The value added in California, the regulations have made it so that farmers actually don't have to make the jams by themselves. They can have a third-party processor where, but it has to be what we call an estate processing, where it's all their produce. It's not combining strawberries, for example, from another farm and putting their label on it. And we have the same regulations with olive oil and with wine. I mean, to be able to sell wine in a certified farmers market, it has to be all your grapes. It's called an estate wine. It's not buying grapes, from another farmer. There are more people that are going into the industry of being the processors for the value added. So they're starting to come together where there is the supply for the demand for that. There didn't used to be. You used to have to make all your own jam. But a lot of people do still. The other thing is that they created another legislation called the cottage food industry, and it was created almost particularly for farmers to be able to make jam on their, the non-hazardous to your health foods, which don't have dairy and meat in them or eggs. So they can actually now make their own dried fruit and make their own jam on their farms by getting a cottage food health permit from their health department. You know, as you can imagine, I'm a huge fan of farmers markets. I always tell people that I think they're going to play a huge role in building the food system. I don't think they're going anywhere. You know, this is not a new concept, farmers markets. If you think back to the Nile and Egypt, I mean, how did people buy things? They did it in a marketplace. And so the reason that people like marketplaces so much is because it feels good to them. It's really what a person is supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be outside. You're supposed to be talking to people. You're supposed to be eating good food. You're supposed to be looking at the colors of the fruits and vegetables, and you're supposed to smell the strawberries when you walk by. And when you do that, people get nourished. They get nourished when they come to farmers markets, not just from the food, but from, it's a renewal. It gives them hope, you know, for the world. You can start shopping at a farmer's market today or tomorrow and the next day and tell your friends to, and you are going to change the world. You know, you're going to make a huge difference in your health, in the community. It's just natural. You know, that's a very overused word, but I think people feel like human beings when they come to a farmer's market.